Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well on this magical Thursday. We're almost at Friday. I am super excited. We have Ryan, Hajar, Ahmad. I saw Lee in there. The amazing Gus Bot and Gareth. Hope you're all having a great morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. We have another exciting daily challenge today. We're on day number, is it day number 8? It might be day number 8. I've lost track of time already. I think it's day number 8. And if I hop over here to my screen, we've got our daily creative challenge webpage where you can find it at behance.net/daily creative challenge. And Gareth, we have Gareth in here. How's it going, everyone? Yes, day number 8. Thank you, Lee. I lost track of time. So daily creative challenge, day number 8. Head over to behance.net/daily creative challenge if you haven't been participating already. And let me explain a little bit on how this works. It's 8 p.m. over there. Hey, from Farnrouche. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I think I actually have one of your designs that we're going to take a look at in a second. So each day we're giving you a challenge. This week and last week it was all on Adobe XD to really help you build your portfolio, push your skills to new levels. And every day at about 8:30, I go live, or Michael went live last week. Sometimes Marissa goes live. And we kind of kick off the challenge. We show you a very basic design on what you're going to be working on. And it's up to you to really expand from there and really push your skills to new limits. Oh, you're sick today? I'm sorry, Ahmad. And there's really no competition in this. So you can scroll down here. You can start on day number 1 and work your way all the way to day number 8 or 9 tomorrow, and you can submit it anytime you want. And for every challenge we have a template, and we also have a video. So this video that you're watching right now will be available after the stream. You'll be able to just click on this button right here, and you can also download the template and just get started. You can also join our Slack channel, which the URL is right up here, bit.ly/XD Slack. It is case sensitive, so make sure you type that in correctly. And we have a lot of people. Every single day it goes up. We have 8,592 amazing people in our Slack channel. And we're just in there talking all day, introducing ourselves. We have Tobias, Jarek, Matteo, Derek again. A lot of people from all over the world. And if you're watching this live, let me know where you're from. I'm streaming right now from Los Angeles. We have Gus Bot and Lee and Michael Chaize up in San Francisco, and then all of you lovely people all over the world, which is really cool. And we also have a help section. We have some product managers from the Adobe XD team in there sometimes answering questions. I'm in there quite a bit. Good stuff. A lot of people, a lot of friendly people, great conversations about Adobe XD and design. We got New York, Berlin, also New York, Atlanta. Cool stuff. Chicago. I love this. So before we begin, before we dive in, actually I should probably mention, if I scroll down here, today's challenge is to create an onboarding experience for the mobile photo editing app you created yesterday. So we're kind of tying things in together. And you may have noticed that on day 1 and day 2, they also tied in together. So we're being a little bit tricky, but well, I'll hop into that in a second. I also want to remind you that we released, I think it was yesterday or the day before, again, I lost track of the days. Siberia, Belgrade, awesome, Brazil. I love all these places. I want to visit all of them. We also released Auto Animate UI Kit on Behance. So search Auto Animate UI Kit or search Howard Pinsky or Lindsay Monroe and you will find it. And we really wanted to give you a starting point on using Auto Animate and some of the really cool interactions you can create, like charts and hamburger menus and things like that, winky faces, number counters. And there's a video on how Auto Animate works, and you can download the XD file right there. So definitely go over to Behance, grab that. So before we begin, make sure to use the XD Daily Challenge tag. That way we can search and find all your lovely designs like Iqbal's right over here. He created this photo editing app yesterday. Really clean layout, really nice presentation. You've got these little elements that kind of pop up from the bottom. Black and white filters, really kind of like Instagram style filters. Nice stuff. And there is a video I will play right now. And he also added a little rotation feature. It does start somewhere around here. There we go. So a little element pops up from the bottom. You can click on any of the degrees to rotate it. Really nice little touch. Definitely expanding on what we showed yesterday in our quick stream and template. We've got some Instagram style filters. You have to have those in a photo editing app. Really nice stuff. And this one is Farnoosh, who is in the chat. Another great photo editing app design. I love this element at the bottom. There's a little bit of transparency in the background so you can still see the photo. Really nice stuff. A little dialog box. Are you sure you want to change the photo? Some cool designs. And I believe there's also a video, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe there's not. But she's got some nice photo view. Really nice stuff. I love the way all these screens kind of just flow together. Great stuff. And Alexander, also really nice. He did this one for Android. Even though we showed it being designed on an iPhone, you can use Android, you can use a tablet, a Windows phone, if those still exist, I'm not sure. But really cool elements to see the before and after. This one I really liked. You can just drag this. You can basically use drag effects in Adobe XD to see the before and after. And there's a video as well. You can check that out if you search XD Daily Challenge on Behance. And then this one was Olga, who I believe is also in the chat, and if not, she's definitely in Slack. And she has this cool little color wheel that she uses at the bottom. Look at that. Did you see that? That was cool. So again, really nice stuff. I'm super impressed with how far it was a video, I'm sorry. I'm really impressed of how far you're pushing some of these challenges. Just blows me away. And tomorrow, right after the little half an hour stream, we might be sticking around for a few more minutes to really look at some of the designs that have come in over the last 2 weeks. There's so many of them. I'm going to be spending all day today just looking at all of them because they're so good. But anyways, let's not waste any more time. Here is the template that you're going to be downloading today. Again, you're creating an onboarding experience for the mobile phone photo editing app you created yesterday. And the template looks very similar, but there are a few additional elements. So let me go over this again. We have some inspiration on the side, Lightroom CC mobile, which I use almost on a daily basis for a lot of my editing on my iPhone. We've got some colors at the bottom if you want some inspiration. These can be easily added to your assets panel and some additional resources. But here is kind of where your eyes are gonna be focused, right? So what is an onboarding experience? Well, basically, it's, when someone opens the app, maybe for the first time or first time in a while, they'll have this experience where they can either swipe through some screens to get some more information about what the app is, or there'll be some little pop-ups to really draw your eye at certain locations throughout the app so you know what each button does. And we want to really simulate that in this experience. And we're going to be using a little bit of auto animate, a little bit of drag, and also we're going to be using some time transitions, which I'll make a few notes on that because we see a lot of questions on time transitions. So let me move this over to the side here. I'm going to move this here so I can reveal the work I did yesterday. Whoop, there we go. So here's the app I did yesterday. My cute little daughter, I think she was like 1 in this photo or something. She's a lot bigger now. But we basically created, let me show you, we created this mobile app. And you're able to click on, what were you able to click on first? I don't remember. Was it filters? Nope. Brightness? Brightness. So a little thing slides up from the bottom. It's been almost 24 hours since I created this. I don't remember. Can we do hovers yet? Not yet, but that is in the works. And you can drag this slider over to increase the brightness. Add some filters. You can add a warming filter, or you can turn off the warming filter. Black and white, slide this over. So you get the idea. We created this yesterday, and obviously all of you created much better photo editing apps than I did in your amazing challenges. So we want to create an onboarding experience for this app. So I'm going to grab my artboard tool over to the left, simply click and create an artboard. And what we want to do for this, we want to create a few little cards that explain what this app exactly is. So I'm going to set the background color. I'm going to make it a nice dark color to kind of match the aesthetics of the dark app at the top, right? And then I want to create a little card in the middle. So I'm just going to drag this out, grab my rectangle tool, place it somewhere in the middle of the document, maybe a little bit higher. And then I love this feature. If you want to round the corners very easily on a shape, you just grab this little guy at the top right or top left or the bottom, and you just drag this inwards. And you can round it a lot or just a little bit. I'll keep it right about there. Perfect. Now, a little white square is kind of boring, so I want to actually add a background. So I'm going to hop over to Finder. I have all these lovely, beautiful gradients, and what I'm able to do is simply grab one of these gradients and drag it right into Adobe XD. I could place it on my canvas like right here, but you're noticing it's a massive image, and I don't want to be dealing with that. So because I have a shape, I can just grab this gradient, drag it on top of the shape. It highlights in blue, I pop it there, and it automatically masks it inside of that shape and fits it. So you don't have things exploding on your document. And I can just double click on it, and I can adjust the mask if I wanted to, get a little bit less purple at the bottom, and click off of it, and I now have a beautiful shape in the center. Now on this card, I basically want to show a feature, a title, and then a little bit of text. And we're going to be able to swipe between some of the cards to have sort of an onboarding experience. So I want an icon at the top. So I'm actually have my icon jar application, and you can get icons pretty much everywhere. I'm going to grab this icon here, drag it in. There's also some icons on the template if you want to grab those as well. I'm going to drag this into my artboard, make it a little bit larger. Let's change. There we go. Change this to white. Perfect. And now below it, I want to type out, let's say the word shoot, to tell people that you can shoot using this mobile app. Bold looks okay. And then below it, I actually want some placeholder text. I'm not going to bother typing out an entire sentence. Placeholder, sure, why not? I'll change that. Probably doesn't have to be bold. Let's say light, and make the text a little bit smaller. Let's say 23 pixels, sure. And actually, you know what? I might actually use a plugin to fill this little text box. So if I go up to the plugins menu, I have the Lorem Ipsum plugin installed. You can find that under the Discover Plugins menu. And I'm simply just going to press Quick Lorem Ipsum, and it's automatically going to fill that box for me. So I don't have to worry about typing placeholder text or thinking what I'm going to say. I just have it right there. I'm going to select all these, make sure they're in the center of this lovely box, and it will snap into place. And right below it, I'm going to create, let's say, 3 circles so we know where we are in the process. I don't need a border. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to snap this again to the center. These two, I'm holding down my shift key to select multiple objects, and let's decrease the opacity a little bit. Beautiful. Now I do want to make sure that all of these are placed into a group so it's easier to animate and it's easier to navigate. So in my layers panel, Command or Control Y to get to your layers. I'm going to just basically select all the layers that make up this card. Again, I'm holding down Shift to select them all, and then Command or Control G to place them in a group. And I'm going to name this one Shoot. When you are working with Auto Animate, it's very important that you do name your layers as accurately as possible, because if there's any discrepancies amongst the artboards, there will be some issues. Now that that's done, I'm actually going to duplicate this, and I'll just change this. This will be Edit. Let's change this to Edit, and instead of this icon, let's put a paintbrush, because why not? It's a little too small, make it larger, set the fill to white, and get rid of our camera. There's the second one. And we'll have one more, Command or Control D to duplicate, and this will be Share. And I think actually on this one, Edit. Did I make it capitalized on the other one? I don't remember. I did, okay. Again, making sure to type things out and layer your or name your layers. There we go. And one more icon. Let's do a quick little share icon. That one looks good. Place this in the center of this paintbrush, make it a little bit larger. Make sure it's in the group. It's a bit too big. Perfect. Make it white, and then delete the paintbrush. So now that we have these little cards, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all into a group, and I'll explain why I'm doing that in a second. I'm going to name this cards, or card, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to move edit over here. I'll just have it poke out from the side just a little bit. And then the share card, I'm going to put over here beside edit. Now the reason I'm putting them all these 3 cards into a group is because if they were not into a group, and I grabbed the share card and moved it all the way over here off the artboard, it would then move onto the paste board, which we don't want. We want them all to remain part of this artboard so that we can animate it. So now that these cards are finished, I'm going to duplicate this artboard over to the right. Again, I'm holding down my Alt-Option key and dragging it over. You can also use Command or Control D. And I'm simply going to start moving things around. So I can just move this over so it's centered. This is 24%. I'm going to up that to 100%, decrease this to 24%. Drag this over and do the exact same thing for this one. Great. 100% and 24%. I also might want on this screen here, now that the user has gone through that flow, I might want a button that pops up from the bottom that says maybe get started, right? So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool one more time, drag out a simple button, round those corners a little bit or a lot, and simply type get started. I'll make that bold so they really see it. Beautiful. I'm going to group these just like I did before. Make sure to name this. Now, because I want this to pop up from the bottom, from when you get to the previous artboard, or from the previous artboard, I'm actually going to duplicate this. Actually, you know what? We're going to actually create a time transition. So we're going to actually duplicate this artboard. And this is what happens when you design things. You get all these extra ideas. You have one thing, and then you're like, no, and you're second guessing yourself. Don't want that. So that'll be there. I'm going to move this right down to the bottom of the artboard so it snaps, and you're noticing it actually left the artboarding onto the pasteboard. So in this case, I might want it actually part of this cards group. That way, if I move it off the artboard, it won't go anywhere. And I'll have to make sure this one is also part of this group. So now that these artboards are set up and ready to go, we need to animate them. So I'm going to go into prototype mode, select my group or select my card, drag it over to the second artboard. This is going to be a drag transition. You don't have to worry too much about the easing, but you do want to make sure auto animate is on. I can do the same thing for this one. And then this one, we immediately want, or almost immediately want, this getting started button to pop up. So I'm going to change the trigger to time with a delay of, let's say, just 0.4 seconds. It'll be auto animate. Maybe it'll ease in and out, and duration of 0.4 seconds. Now if I press play, I can drag these over, drag this over, and you're noticing the little dots at the bottom are also changing. And when I let go here, it'll be a few seconds or a few milliseconds, and then the get started button will pop up, which we want. I could also add a drag back to previous if I did have time, but I am short on time. These streams are very short. Now let's actually go to, where do we want this? We're going to duplicate this artboard, and we're going to have this get started button. I'm going to break these chains. And I'm going to have this get started button linked to this one over here. We'll have a tap. It'll auto animate. We don't need auto animate. Transition. And it'll, let's say, slide to the right. I always get that mixed up. Let's see how that looks. Okay, maybe slide to the left. So it makes a little bit more sense. Slide left. There we go. Perfect. Play, and slides over. Now at this point, we want to actually kind of simulate the onboarding experience inside of the app. So I'm actually going to grab the elements from the template. I'm going to duplicate this artboard, and we basically want a little bit of an overlay on top of this design. So I'm going to create a rectangle across the entire thing, make it black, and then decrease the opacity just a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to make sure to duplicate this on this one as well. And I want to grab this element and pop it right here. So we're basically telling the user that you can select various image adjustments in this section down at the bottom, right? And in this case, we may want that navigation bar to be visible. So I'm going to grab the toolbar, drag it up to the top. There we go. We're going to duplicate this one more time. And we may want, let's say, we may want to move this one over here. Drag this over. And this will be focused on the slider. So in this case, the slider is going to be moved to the top. And I'm going to change the text. Probably doesn't make too much sense, but you get the idea. All right. Now in this case, we want time transitions to take place. So back in prototype mode, you have to make sure to select the entire artboard for time transitions to appear. And you'll have this blue handle over to the right, which you can drag over to the next artboard. It'll be a time transition, let's say 0.4 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. We don't have to worry about auto animate for this. We're going to do a transition and we'll have a dissolve, a pretty quick dissolve, and we'll do the exact same thing for here. So now when you press get started, it goes to this screen here, and then immediately, that's probably a little bit too short. So let's actually make that a little bit slower. Let's just go 1.5 seconds, see how that looks. That's a little bit better. And we probably don't need the ease in and ease out, so I'll set that to none. A lot of designing is just experimentation. So get started goes over here, shows our little tooltip and our little tooltip. And then we can have one more. Let's duplicate this over. In this case, I'm going to bring everything below that rectangle. And then I'm going to add one more button in the center that says, let's say, get editing. I'm going to round these corners just a little bit. Perfect. And in prototype mode, drag this handle over to the right. It brings over all the transitions that we had in the previous example. And then let's say this button here will go up to this one over here to complete that circle. It's going to be a tap trigger. You're noticing time is not an option because we don't have an entire artboard selected. We just have one object selected. We'll do a transition. And let's say we'll keep dissolve duration 0.2 seconds. Great. So let's see this thing from the beginning. We have a drag effect. We can go back and forth between these three cards. And like Gareth mentioned, I could go ahead and create another drag effect from the previous cards to go back, but lack of time. It explains to the user what these apps are. I can press get started and goes through my onboarding experience using timed transitions. I can get editing and it goes to my artboard at the top, which I can now go through the photo editing process that we created yesterday. Fun stuff. So I hope that was helpful to all of you. Really nice stuff. Definitely make sure to share it on Behance using the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. Hajar says, I wish there was a button for the link and unlink all prototype at once. Yeah, me too. Definitely go to UserVoice, adobeXD.uservoice.com. Make sure to submit that feedback because I would love to see some of that stuff as well, and I'm sure other people would as well. Do the prototype, can they handle over 100 screens? They can. If you have room on your document, you definitely can. So thanks for watching, everyone. Join us in Slack, share your designs on Behance. I would love to see some of the stuff you're working on. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30 Pacific time, and then we have some great editorial streams coming up right after this. Hope you're all well today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.